How's it going, everybody? Jackson Fuller here, high school sports reporter with the StarNews in Wilmington, North Carolina, as part of the USA Today network. And here are 5 things that you need to know about high school sports as we close in on the resumption date for North Carolina public schools. We haven't had a game for our North Carolina public schools in any sport since March 13th because of the coronavirus pandemic, but we're almost there. We're almost back up and running, and here are 5 things you need to know with high school sports right around the corner. Number 1, the 2 sports that are going to kick us off are cross country and volleyball. There won't be football, there won't be boys soccer, and any other fall sports, but on November 4th, volleyball and cross country will be allowed to have their first practices of the season and tryouts. 2 weeks later, on November 18th, we'll have our first volleyball matches and cross country meets across the state. Now, shortly thereafter, on November 23rd, swimming will be allowed to host its tryouts, and on December 7th, basketball season starts in North Carolina, with games coming after the new year. Speaking of after the new year, boys lacrosse, girls lacrosse, and boys soccer are all slated to start in January. So, we're really only a couple months out from having 4 to 5 sports happening all at the same time and a sense of normalcy returning to our lives. Number 2. Fans will be allowed to attend games, but there will be restrictions on the number of spectators allowed. According to Executive Order 170 from North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, 100 spectators are allowed at outdoor events and 25 spectators are allowed at indoor events. For volleyball, 25 is a small number for fans allowed to come see a game, so it'll be up to local school districts and schools to determine which fans are allowed in. For example, in the Mid-Eastern Conference, which encompasses New Hanover County, Brunswick County, and Topsail High School in Pender County, the conference has decided that senior players on the volleyball rosters will be given 2 tickets for their family members. Everyone else that's not a senior will be given 1 ticket, and no away fans will be allowed to attend games. Number 3, masks must be worn by all fans when they attend the games. In addition to masks, you will have to have your temperature checked before entering to make sure you're not showing any signs of symptoms of the coronavirus. However, fans won't be the only ones wearing masks at these games. All coaches, substitutes on the bench, and other game day personnel must wear a mask during athletic events. The only people that won't be required to wear a mask will be student athletes actively participating in the game. And even from speaking to some volleyball coaches around the area, they might encourage their student athletes to wear masks during game, just to maximize the safety protocols that are in place. Number 4, all seasons will have shortened schedules this season. That's just a byproduct of the NCHSAA not starting on time this year and waiting till November, and Commissioner Q. Tucker wanting to make sure every kid across every sport gets a chance to play during this academic year. Football, if you were wondering, which I know is one of the more popular sports, not only in North Carolina, but across the country in high school, they will only have 7 regular season games this year. Now, with that said, every sport will have a playoff. Dual team tennis and dual team wrestling will not happen. There will only be individual titles crowned at the state level, but every season, except for indoor track and field, which will have outdoor track and field, but other than that, every season will be played during this academic year. They will just be on shortened schedules. And finally, number 5, there will be punishments and repercussions for schools that don't follow the guidelines or knowingly dismiss the guidelines. I spoke with Commissioner Q. Tucker earlier this week, and she is confident that all coaches, athletic directors, students, anybody involved with high school athletic won't knowingly dismiss coronavirus guidelines that are mandated by the NCHSAA. However, if it were to happen, it would go down as a health and safety violation as part of the NCHSAA handbook that's been around long before the coronavirus. Fines could be levied upon schools, and the NCHSAA has the right to come in and completely shut down a school's season if they deem there was knowing dismissal of coronavirus guidelines and they were not taken seriously. Those are the 5 things you need to know, and they all have a little doom and gloom feeling, I guess, just given the current time frame of our society handling the coronavirus pandemic. But these are all necessary steps to make sure our student athletes are given every opportunity to compete in high school sports this year. I know I'm excited to get back and covering games on volleyball courts and football fields in southeastern North Carolina, and the kids have to be just jumping at the bit to compete against their rival schools. Let's make sure we're all wearing our mask and doing our part following these protocols to make sure that those kids and the coaches have a chance to play sports this year and they go off as smooth as possible. We're almost there. November 4th and then November 18th, high school sports will be back in North Carolina.